RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.
Welcome back to the SportsHeads. My name's Sam Morgan from Verge Magazine, and I'm joined today by Josh Peacock of Gridiron and Warren Lumbias of RedZoneSports.bet. We're going to go through 4 games and preview and work out who is going to take the games this week. We're going to start with Minnesota Vikings at Washington Redskins. Josh, how do you see this one going?
I think the Vikings fairly easy win, really, if I'm honest. I think they've got a serviceable quarterback that's working with their offense, and they have one of the best defenses in the division for me. I think they'll force Cousins to throw long, could be picked off at numerous points in the game, and the Redskins aren't totaling up many points at all this season.
See, I'm disagreeing there.
Okay.
I fancy the Skins for this. I tell you what, the Skins are 4-4, and you go, okay, right. But you look at the teams that they've played. They played Philly twice. They've been beaten by the Cowboys, and they've been beaten by the Chiefs. Well, there's some pretty good teams in there. Yep. They've also gone away and they've beaten the Rams and they've beaten the Seahawks. Okay, you can stick in the 49ers and Oakland. We're not quite sure what Oakland are at the moment, but they can play. Now they've got a terribly beaten up offensive line, so you know that's causing them problems. But they went away to Seattle with that offensive line, and at the end of the game, they were able to get the job done. Now there were some points, there were some flags and some silly fouls by Seahawks. That's the Seahawks. But you know, I'm pretty sure in saying that Kirk Cousins is ranked 4th for completions in the NFL, playing behind that offensive line. So I think the Skins aren't as bad as we think they are. We get slightly skew-whiffed because of this 4-4, and then you go, oh look at what they played. Yes, they scraped a win against the 49ers, which surprised us all. But the other games they've done well in. Against the Cowboys, that gut-wrenching, if you're on the Skins, I was on the Skins, gut-wrenching sort of momentum swing when, you know, the field goal gets taken back for a touchdown, that kills you, you know. Yeah. But apart from that, they're playing well, and on defense, although you can get short yardage on them in the running game, they're hard. The secondary has still got some talent. You've got Josh Norman in there. You know, it's hard to score points on, and it's Case Keenum, and Case Keenum is a game manager. And I think the big thing for Case Keenum, last year when he was at the Rams and he had Goff on the sidelines, gets in his head. Teddy Bridgewater's suited up this week. Yeah. So suddenly the pressure's on Case Keenum, because suddenly if he doesn't perform, he's out again.
He's got that backup. I mean,
so I just think that I like the Skins to certainly make a game of this. I don't think it'll be easy. Now it's a bit of a coin flip one, but if I had to pick a side, I would pick the Skins, because I think although they are low scoring, and I think if I look back before the last drive last week, they only had like, he was 19 of 29 for 178 yards, no touchdowns and a safety. So he wasn't playing well until that last drive. But he still, on that last drive in 35 seconds in 4 plays, got them down to the 1 yard line and ran the ball in. So I think Cousins can do something against this Vikings team.
Okay, I mean, if you look at the standings for the NFC North, I think for me now, obviously the Vikings, it's about keeping that momentum, just to have that division.
Bears are still in it.
You're still hanging on, aren't you?
We had a pre-season bet on the Bears, and I'm just going to keep saying the Bears are still in it until they're not in it. I'm going to say they're still in it.
Yeah. So I think the momentum's there for the Vikings to go on there. Still maybe slightly less pressure than what you'll see in the NFC East, where the Eagles are sort of running away with it, and obviously the Redskins now have obviously got to try and heap some pressure on the Cowboys. But you know, I think we're all in agreement there that, you know, the Cowboys are starting to come on strong at the right time now.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult for the Skins, because if you look at that, they've lost all 3 divisional games, haven't they? Yeah. But they're not out of the playoff equation at all there. You know, and this Vikings team, is this the Vikings team that are you 1 year on from going 8-0 and then couldn't win a game or something like that? Was it not?
I think
5-0, yeah.
But the injuries,
I should do betting.
But I think the injuries got to the Vikings there, and that's why they had sort of the complete turnaround in form.
Yeah, I think it's a better team. I'm not saying it's not a better team. I just think, you know, the game against your mob at Twickenham was, you know, they were struggling up until half time against some terrible play calling, some terrible play by the Browns. okay, they're coming off a bye, and I sound like bloody Simon now, but you know, and the Skins are coming back from Seahawk, so you know, West Coast to East Coast. You know, Simon likes to say that. So hi, Simon. Simon's out in Atlanta, everyone, so he's enjoying the football. So yeah, I think that. Yeah, they've got some things going for them. But
I think the Redskins will struggle this week. I think we'll put some stats up for the guys here, looking at the Minnesota Vikings defense. I mean, really going up against that offense, when you look at those.
Yeah.
Now, go on, do a Simon now.
No,
put yourself back on the fence. If you like.
I'm not putting myself back because, as I said, you know, the Skins have played the Eagles twice.
Yeah.
We've just done a piece in the last show saying how good the Eagles are.
Yeah.
They played Dallas and they played the Chiefs, so they've played 4 very good teams.
Yeah, and good offenses.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't think you can. You know, I think that Josh Norman and the secondary there have still got plenty of in them, because what happens is you get short yardage on that team, but then actually the secondary come in and stop the runner. Do you know what I mean? So yes, you can. You know, they will be looking to run the ball on the Skins. The Skins are going to pack the box, and then they will be saying to the Vikings, "Go on, Case, you throw on us."
Yeah, and encourage the mistakes from there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think the Vikings just can't afford to lose games, and I think they've got a very experienced coach in Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
You know, he will pull out the stops. I can't.
They can't afford to lose games because the Chicago Bears, despite being 3-5, are hot on their heels.
I need the
Vikings.
My chair just made a very unfortunate noise. I want to make it quite clear that it was the chair and not anything that I did.
It definitely wasn't a chair. But yeah, for me, so he's going to stick with the Vikings. I need Stephon Diggs to turn up from fantasy points, please. He promised me 1,000 yards. It's not getting there. But yeah, I mean, in Washington, their secondary is not too bad actually. So I think he might actually struggle a little bit this week, but I still think they'll take it.
They would be nuts to put Teddy Bridgewater in, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, get him suited up and then trying to throw him back in. You know, Case Keenum's been doing a good job. So even if he does get picked off, even if he doesn't have the greatest game, you know, they've got enough of a lead, even though the Chicago Bears are hot on their heels, enough of a lead, and to take their time if they want to bring Bridgewater back.
And that's best case scenario, obviously. But yeah. Okay. Takes us to the next game, which is Dallas Cowboys at Atlanta Falcons. Based on sort of the games and what we've seen and how well they've fared this year, I feel it could be a bit of a tight game.
I think it's an exciting game. 2 exciting offences. 2 quarterbacks who are both kind of top 5 quarterbacks. Matt Ryan's not having probably as good a season as last season, but you've got a guy in Dak Prescott who offers effectively 2 running options for the Cowboys. You know, he's not going to run far, but he's clever with his running. Their receivers are coming to the fore, and then you've got Jason Witten, Mr. Solid, blocks for you, catches balls. But then on the Falcons side, you know, you've got a good running game again in Freeman, and then you've got Julio Jones, and you've got Matt Ryan, who's kind of seen it and done it, unless he forgets what he's doing sort of 3 quarters into the game.
I think they've got
that's the only worrying thing.
They've still got some timing issues. I think the Falcons. What I think if you're Garrett and you're looking at the Dallas game plan, you look at what Cam Newton did to them in the running game last week. They're busy trying to block the runner, and then Cam Newton is a mobile quarterback who can get a lot of yards. Well, you're coming up against Dak Prescott now, and you're coming up against Elliott if he plays. Who knows if he's going to play yet? I don't know. Again, he cost me another bet last week.
He doesn't know. I don't.
Well, Well, when we did the picks last week, Elliott wasn't playing. So yeah. But if you've got Elliott playing, they've got to stop. They struggle a little bit with the run anyway. If they stop Elliott, they've got Dak Prescott to contend with. And you know, this is the Dallas team that beat Kansas City last week. You know, again, this is a really good team. I think Atlanta Falcons. They're still not clicking properly. Freeman, yes, he's getting more in the game, but I still think there's timing issues. I still think there's issues on the whole offense, and so I'm liking the Cowboys.
Okay, I mean, if we look at the standings for the NFC South, I mean, based on obviously the Falcons themselves and everyone else that they're going to play with the Cowboys, we said they're obviously chasing the Eagles.
Yeah, so that's the NFC East. The Cowboys, they can't catch the Eagles probably, but you know, they've got to play them again, haven't they? And so, but you know, Could they make the playoffs? Absolutely, Dallas. And in fact, so are the Skins. You know, they're both still in it.
And the Cowboys are coming into form. I thought it was effectively a slow start. Dak Prescott wasn't really setting the world alight, and he is now coming into his own as a clear front runner for being one of the top quarterbacks in this.
One of the weirdest results of the year is that Cowboys result up at Denver. Because now you're looking at Denver going, wow, but maybe that's because the defense has just lost faith in the offense, and they get to a certain point where they're out of the game and a little bit.
And that was indicative, I thought, on Sunday when Von Miller went missing in that game. So maybe having Brock Osweiler on offense.
So based on where the Falcons sit in their standings, really, I was touching on that. Obviously, New Orleans Saints and the Panthers. Would you say that division is pretty sort of sewn up now? Or do you think?
Well, it's definitely not sewn up because look, there's two teams with 6 wins, and if the Falcons can get another win, okay, they've lost some divisional games, but we're halfway through the season, so it's. But I just don't think they're playing well. Whereas I think the Saints are playing some pretty hot football at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
I still don't fancy the Saints' chances come the playoffs because I just don't think they play well outside in the cold, and they're going to probably have to go to the East Coast at some point, So
do you feel that it's still hurting that from the previous Super Bowl for the Falcons? Do you think it's that's what's had that knock-on effect?
How can it not?
Yeah, but for the 8 games in,
and Shanahan, you know what I mean? That's
him.
Is it the hangover, or is it that they've lost perhaps one of the most creative offensive minds in the young coaches? And although he's not having a great season at San Francisco, that's because he's coming into an absolute garbage show. I'm glad we were trying to pick the right words.
Well, you mentioned sort of the offensive minds there. 2 quality quarterbacks in this game. If we look at some of the stats for these guys this season, in Dak Prescott and Matt Ryan.
Just noticed your T-shirt. What is it?
It's
it's a bearskin hat. I was like, what? Is it trying to be his hairy chest? I couldn't work out what it was.
God, that's a serious.
Austin Powers.
But thankfully, that's not on air just yet. But Dak Prescott and Matt Ryan are. Looking at that, Matt Ryan spent a lot of time on the floor this year, hasn't he? Yeah. And obviously, Dak Prescott. He is emerging to be sort of one of the top QBs.
It's exciting times actually because you're seeing the changing of the guard of quarterbacks. You're seeing a lot of the older quarterbacks. Obviously Peyton Manning went, Tom Brady, how long's he got? Ben Roethlisberger. Again.
To go.
Yeah. Well, these are coming to the end, and you've got these. Carson Wentz. You've got Dak Prescott. You've got Jared Goff. It's the next generation of quarterbacks that you feel like are going to be around for a long time. Derek Carr. This is like a new generation, and it's an exciting time.
Cam Newton says that Tom Brady's actually getting younger. Benjamin Button had, so we might be around for a few more years.
It was nice of him to do a press conference where he doesn't upset anyone.
When I saw it cut, I was like, what has he done again? But actually, no, it was a nice press conference.
I think another thing as well is there's a really exciting group of college quarterbacks to come through as well, where last year we didn't have that. So there are guys, Baker Mayfield for one, obviously clear front runner for the Heisman Trophy. There's going to be teams looking, the Steelers, for instance, looking at the likes of Roethlisberger. He is a legend of the game, obviously, but they have some serious weapons on that offense. And is he the best man to utilise them?
Well, he's already said that from last year, didn't he? He wasn't sure if he was going to be back. We've sort of touched on this in the show before, where it's like once that's at the back of your mind, I think mentally you do shut down.
I don't know as well. I think you can read a little bit too much into what he said after that shellacking they got off the Jags, and he was sort of, what do the journalists want him to? Used to a journalist, or so it's what do you want him to say when you ask him a question like that? He maybe I haven't got it anymore, but I think we can read too much. I think he probably thinks he's got another year or two. I think he would like to go out Peyton Manning style with a win, and Steelers. I still think the Steelers can make it to the Super Bowl. So
okay. Well, next game for us then, New England Patriots at Denver Broncos. How do we see this one going, Josh?
I think this has the prospect of being a huge scoring game and not in favour of Denver, unfortunately, is where I'm sat on this one. I think the Patriots, again, similar to the Cowboys, didn't start off great. Obviously, they lost their first game, so really didn't start off great. But they've got Belichick, they've got Brady. These guys know how to do it. I still think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and the Broncos, I think, have given up, are on the cusp of giving up for their season.
We've done
Speaking for bookmakers all over the world, please don't let the New England Patriots win the Super Bowl, please. Everybody loves to bet the New England Patriots. So
I can't blow any more smoke up them, unfortunately. But I think the Broncos are just on a very fast slide.
Yeah, Broncos are on a fast slide, and the thing about the Pats is that everyone goes on about statistically they're still the worst defence, but then they've really turned it around in the last 4 games. They gave, I think in the first game they gave up 42 points in the opener, 22 points, 33 points, 33 points again, and then over the last 4 games they kept Tampa to 14, Jets to 17, Falcons to 7, and then Chargers was pretty low, was it 20 points or something like that, or 23 points. So I think people are judging the defence on those early season results, and I think that the offense was always working, and he is, I know Steve Belmar, our director of trading, my business partner, co-founder of Red Zone Sports.
Quick shout out there.
Anytime I give Bill Belichick any praise, he'll be fuming.
You can't help it.
He is the greatest coach of a generation, perhaps of all time. You know what I mean? Again, when he watches this, he will be
really a lot of praise there in one sentence. You done
for Bill Belichick, not for Steve.
Let's just make sure we get in there that we agree that Brady's not the best quarterback of all time, and then
he would agree with that as well, probably.
Right, moving on from that, looking at the standings for these two teams, quite interesting because I think in our earlier shows, New England were starting to get written off a little bit, and it was like, are they done? And I was probably one of the few that sort of said you can never write them off.
You were saying that, yeah.
And there they are, top of their division.
But that still division is harder than people. I mean, Miami are a funny thing, and we'll get onto them later on in the game. But so Miami, you never quite know what Miami are going to turn up, and the funny thing is, you go, how have they got that many wins? They sort of where did that come from? The Bills, I'm really interested in the Bills. Okay, the Jets did a number on the Bills on Thursday night, and then the Bills really annoyingly covered the spread with the last onside kicks. Ferry and Jenkins not being able to catch a ball on the onside kick, and I talk of a embittered bookmaker when bets go wrong. But the Patriots still got to play the Bills twice. That Bills team has got something about it. They've strengthened, and so. Although everything points, unfortunately for me, to the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl and doing what they normally do, I don't think that division's quite as that division's still all to play for. And I think if you got Bill Belichick, if you got him in a room, he would always say on to the next game. But I don't think they will be thinking at all about we're definitely going to the playoffs.
Okay. And the AFC West, you talk about being open. For me, this is a
great division,
wide open.
That is a great division.
And the Chargers are unlucky for those bad breaks they got early in the season where they lost by a couple of missed field goals. Because they should really be in the equation there as well. In fact, they should be second, really, I think, in that division, bar if they had a kicker who could kick a field goal. You know what I mean? That's it. I mean, that's
He's
part
more
of the game.
bothered about YouTube views. So.
Yeah. So, but I think it's it looks like the Chiefs will hold out, but Oakland needed to win last week to make themselves relevant. Yeah. And they're not clicking. But I tell you what I did see, which was quite good from Oakland last week, was that their pass rush, suddenly it's been non-existent. Suddenly they were getting after Jay Cutler last week. So maybe they're starting to click as well.
I think we could get after Jay Cutler though, Warren, if I'm honest.
Well, you speak for you two. I don't also understand when I suddenly become the old guy on the show. I'm like, that's it. I was thinking to myself, 43, quite young, and then suddenly sat next to you two. It's like,
Wasn't going to bring it up, you did. But I mean, talking of sort of age, should we say, the ageing Patriots, their offense going up against the Broncos' defense. Have a look at some of these stats now for you. Could be a very interesting game when you look at where they position themselves.
It won't be. Sorry, Josh. It won't be because the Denver Broncos' offense won't stay on the field long enough.
That's true.
That's also true.
That is true.
So it's the defense will just get gassed, and then Tom Brady will do what Tom Brady. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I know it's not the betting side of the show, but the line will be high. Patriots will be favourites, and unfortunately they'll probably cover it.
but I mean, again, the Broncos secondary really gave up on Sunday night against the Eagles. I mean, that defence, which is often talked about, Chris Harris and Von Miller, to name their 2 star guys, I suppose, especially in the secondary, those guys were not interested. Come the third quarter, they knew that game was up, and there was no inclination to wrestle that back for Denver at all.
And I suppose, you know, there's a bit of history between, you know, these 2 AFC teams. Instead of, you know, going away to the Eagles where there's not, you know, it's not a rivalry set in stone. So perhaps actually that will inspire defence, and maybe the defence will be, you know, Von Miller will be embarrassed by their showing, and maybe they'll come out. But I just
in a tight game, maybe.
Yeah, I just can't see that they've got. I mean, they should call up Tim Tebow and get him back at quarterback, because no one else is doing a job.
He's always around.
Yeah.
So
somewhere.
all in agreement.
We've been to church today, so we can do it.
All in agreement. Patriots for this one.
Patriots,
hands down.
Yeah. Okay. Which brings us to our next game: Miami Dolphins up against Carolina Panthers. Warren, what do you have for this one?
In terms of winning the game, I have the Panthers. Although when we do the betting show, it's a different pick. But for winning the game, I think the Panthers. But again, Miami were so disappointing, and then suddenly they sort of clicked a little bit more in the game against the Raiders, and they could do it. You know what I mean? They could. The problem seems to be that getting rid of JJ. I like that move, by the way. They were again. It's going back to what we talked about with Jacksonville. Suddenly it's Greece going. Greece.
Gaze.
Greece. Greece is the
You
word.
like
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Just no. Gase. Adam Gase is. He's set a tone for the team. He's gone. Look, you know, that was our best running back last year.
British-born running back JJ.
He's absolutely doing cartwheels, by the way. Yeah. He's gone to Philly, you know, irrelevant. But suddenly they were a better team, and bar some momentum change in their game, they were in it, and their fight back at the end. You know, this is not so one-sided as people think it is. I don't think this game, but I do think the Panthers will win it.
Okay. And Josh?
I do think it's as one-sided as it appears on paper. Miami are one of the worst offences in the league, one of the worst defences in the league.
Yeah.
But they have 4 wins. That's the thing. That, you know, we talked earlier on about the Skins, and you go, how have they?
Well, I like I think they've got a great coach, and I like it. I agree.
You mean
with
Greece?
Yeah. That Adam Greece. Yeah.
That Adam Greece is famous.
I think he's great, and he's clearly being given direction in that franchise. You know, he's been told that if you don't like these guys, there was obviously the rumour that Jarvis Landry was going as well, who's their best receiver, and so now it's down to kind of the bare bones of whoever's left on the offense. But for me, you know, you've got Cam Newton, who runs more than McCaffrey most weeks, and McCaffrey's a good running back in himself. I won't say that it's New England v Denver territory for how much I think it's going to be won by, but I think the Panthers will comfortably win this game.
See, I think Miami have got a little bit more in defence, and I think if Jay Cutler can, you know, Jay Cutler's always been prone to getting the ball batted down. He holds it a little bit like his gunslinger, and you know, you always think that. I always feel like he's looking at a mirror before he chucks the ball. But
he's a good-looking guy.
But if you can, if he can get the ball to Landry quickly, you know, there's someone there who he's an explosive wide receiver, and he can get yards after the catch. There's some, you know, he's able to break tackles, get out stuff, and I think.
Do these trades go one or two ways though? Do they give you the kick up the backside that the franchise needs in saying you guys have got to sort yourselves out, or do the likes of Jarvis Landry, who was meant to be a bad influence in the similar sense of J.J., are they just heading for free fall again?
It'll
be interesting.
Time will tell. I mean, I thought there was more offense last week. So you know, even though it stuttered at times of the game, I thought there were signs that they were sort of getting their act together.
If you look at the standings for the AFC East, just attention back on to Miami Dolphins though. We're saying about the trades. I think there's probably something in the organisation to say, actually, okay, New England, conveyor belt of talent always in there, and obviously the Buffalo Bills obviously are building something there.
Yeah.
So
look how tight that is. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
and
even
tight.
the Jets. It's tight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
breakout season.
Well, what did we say about the Jets? I mean, at the start of the season, I don't think anyone expected them to have that many wins.
The Bills and the Jets, I think we all thought were going to be teams that struggled. Now, you know, again, we go on about the Patriots. They're one game ahead of the Bills, and they're 2 ahead of. Okay, they beat the Jets twice, haven't they? But still, that's a really competitive division.
Yeah. But I mean, as you mentioned before, obviously the Patriots got to play the Bills twice.
Yeah.
So that could really have a knock-on effect.
And they've got to play Mexico as well, haven't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And also the Patriots got to play. I think it might be a Thursday night game or a Monday night game. I can't remember. They got week 15. They're away at the Steelers, and you know, and that could, you know, make a big difference.
Definitely a division to keep an eye on. And you've mentioned obviously the Miami offense there with JJ obviously going. Let's take a look at some of their stats for the season and actually probably go. Should they have let him go?
I think again it goes back to what you said before. He's setting a tone, and you know, I'm happy. It looks like a good move for the player, and suddenly the organisation. Whatever was going on behind the scenes, it wasn't working. We turned up at Wembley, it wasn't working. It wasn't working at any point. He wasn't getting enough touches of the ball. He wasn't getting any touchdowns. Suddenly, first touch in Philly, takes it to the house. Yeah. He's happy. Pressure's all on Miami when you come back to watch the game on Sunday night, Monday morning, like we did in the office. And they didn't miss him strangely. They didn't win the game, but they didn't. You didn't go, oh, look, they're really missing him. You didn't.
That's for how bad he's been this season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, you know, coming back onto that, would you say then that his consistency is not the best? Do you think that Philly will suffer from that?
It's much easier running with that offensive line at Philly, and then you've got Carson Wentz spreading the ball around.
I think the guy's just got an attitude problem, and I think he'll be hot when he's happy.
Talking about Sam or JJ?
Could be talking about me, yeah.
Sorry. Definitely JJ.
No, I mean, for me, I think this game, is going to be one-sided. I think, and Cam's still got something to prove. I think there's still some people still sort of got a question mark over him at times just because of his temperament and his attitude. So I think, so I think this game could be an interesting one for me in terms of seeing how Cam reacts to what's gone on. But as I said, his one press conference this week that came out into the press was actually a good one for a change.
Yeah.
So hopefully that
maybe there's a PR firm somewhere in the pride of the Carolinas that's earning their money telling him to maybe not say such controversial stuff. So
also true, and he didn't have any outrageous clobber on this time. Normally he comes in an outrageous suit or.
Says the man with the false, the false
chest
hair.
I'm representing both England and the NFL. So I'd like to say it's actually good clobber, and I don't think the NFL would say that's bad.
Yeah, no, obviously we love the. I couldn't work out what it was. That's all.
That's why you can't see that bit on the screen. So it does look really bad.
Sam's coming to do the NFL show in a beaver shirt. Very nice.
Definitely not that. But again, Josh, Warren, Sam, we're the Sports Heads. Thanks for joining us.
RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.